Hi folks, it's Andy and welcome to today's Kendo Rant. Hopefully I'm fully in focus today throughout the entire episode. I do know we had those issues with the focusing yesterday, but we'll give it a try today. Slightly different setup and hopefully it'll be a bit clearer. I did say yesterday that I probably wouldn't get to record today. So it is a bit of a mini rant today. I've printed out a couple of the questions and I am a bit strapped for time, but I do want to get something up. So yeah, let's see how we get on. Okay, first question. Hi, I was looking for some tips on knocking your opponent's Shinai. In what cases should you actually try to knock his Shinai out of his hands, and when should you try osae or maki otoshi or any kind of otoshi in general, maybe even sometimes in tsubuzeri-ai, so that it's actually done correctly and efficiently. Thank you. Okay, so about knocking the opponent's Shinai, I think like trying to knock the Shinai out of their hands, basically. Obviously, it's not really a waza to do that, so you don't score any points for doing that. Obviously, if the other person drops their Shinai, then they receive the hand soku. If that happens twice, you get a point. But that shouldn't really be your goal. However, if there's that sort of moment, it's not wrong to do so. It's not wrong to do something that ends up with them obviously being disarmed. But it shouldn't be the goal of your encounter, so you shouldn't be looking to try and just disarm them. But if there's a moment in the encounter where obviously they've had a lapse in concentration, for example, often this happens at tsubuzeri-ai, and they're not really gripping the Shinai properly or something like that, and you do a kind of, I'd say it's more of a harai, bam, like this. Perhaps their Shinai is on the Uda side, I'm holding the microphone, hoping to get better sound today as well, on the sort of reverse side like this, and you hit this way and they let go. This happened quite a lot in the All Japan Championships actually. I'm not sure if it was this year's one or one from a couple of years ago, but Mr. Nishimura is very good at doing that. That's one way. And you also mentioned waza like maki otoshi, and there's also the similar waza makiage, which is when you actually twist the Shinai. I think this is when you twist this way is maki otoshi and this way is makiage. But when you basically twist the Shinai so their arms become crossed like this, they end up letting go and the Shinai goes flying up into the air. It looks very spectacular, of course. That really works best on people that have got a very loose grip of the Shinai. They don't hold the Shinai very tightly. So obviously you shouldn't hold the Shinai too tightly because you won't be able to move. But if you kind of got a too relaxed grip, and it's not just your grip that's relaxed, but your kind of mental sort of position is a little bit too relaxed, then it's possible to receive the makiage or the maki otoshi to have the Shinai taken away from you. It's a difficult technique though. It's not something that occurs often, and it should be really done as part of a waza, not just as a kind of to make a point of taking someone's Shinai off their hands. But things like that. Other waza you mentioned osae. Osae means to press on the Shinai. So I don't have any pens here, so I can't do the pen kendo thing again. But where they say you have a kind of pressure from above is osae. And that works against different types of opponents as well. It depends on what they're like. If they're the sort of opponent that has the very stiff kamae, then this can work well to kind of push from above like this and they kind of push back, and this can give you an opportunity for kote, for example. Or if they've got the very loose kamae, then also it's a good way to get it out of the way so that you can hit men. It's not as simple as, okay, in this situation you have to do this, in this situation you have to do that. You have to kind of figure it out as you interact with your opponent. It's just you have to... The idea is that you understand and know a good repertoire of techniques, and then you can judge which is the best one to use based on your interaction with your opponent. If that makes sense. Next one. Hi Andy, thanks for all the hard work. Thank you. Extremely novice kendoka here, 6 months. With a question about something I've seen in videos of competitive kendo. I've noticed right after someone executes a tsuki, they quite often seem to pull the Shinai back and then sort of slap the ground with it. Is this just part of the expected zanshin after ski? Is there any reason behind it, or is it just what people do? Sorry if this is a silly question. I'm obviously a fair way off from being taught the ins and outs of ski, but it's just something I was curious about. Thanks in advance. Okay, cool. Great question. I think I've answered it before on here, but it's no problem. Yeah, so what you're talking about is when you see somebody do usually the two-handed ski, but they do it with the one-handed ski as well, and then they kind of hit the floor like this or like this afterwards. It's very, very common. It's very, very common, but it's not good, so don't copy that. It's not a good habit to have. It is a habit. It's kind of... I think everybody knows that it's bad, even the people that are doing it. I think they know that they shouldn't really do it, but it's kind of... Especially when you're going for a waza like ski, then obviously you're kind of, your adrenaline's going, there's kind of emotions running, it's the sort of heat of a fight, so there's that kind of ski, bam, like this. It's kind of I'm not defending the behaviour, but it's a kind of like, yes, kind of, it's a bit similar to kind of the fist pump really, which is obviously something that gets you a point stripped away, but there is a bit of that kind of because they've achieved such a waza that's so hard, very difficult. There's that kind of, yeah, I just got you with the ski sort of thing that comes out naturally, I think, from that. And I think that's why it happens. It's not part of Zanshin. There's no angle where you could argue that that's part of Zanshin. It's bad Zanshin, actually, if anything. But for the most part, because ski is probably considered what most would say a very difficult technique. It's usually forgiven by most referees, even when that happens, though I think it wouldn't surprise me if in a few years' time they start to clamp down on it, because most of them don't like it. So yeah, it is something that happens. It's a bad habit. Even very, very high level kendoka have bad habits too. I don't think that they would say that it's a good habit or it's something that they're happy about doing. I think most of them do it kind of instinctively is the wrong word, but kind of out of emotion and adrenaline rather than out of particular intention. So yeah, definitely don't look to copy that. The best thing to do after ski is back to kamae is the best way to perform zanshin after ski. Okay, next one, and this is the last one. This one's from the Kendo Show Early Access group. There's a link in the description. It's free to join, so if you're not in the group, get in it. It's a great place to post your questions, because not only will I answer them in these videos, but you'll get loads of opinions from Kensho all over the world as well. So, right, apologies if this was already answered in a previous rant. But do you have any recommendations on keeping your arms relaxed while swinging the shinai, specifically the shoulders and elbows? I don't have this issue when performing small strikes, but when practicing kihon, I notice I'm very stiff with overuse. I get some pain in my left elbow. Okay, so what you're saying is when you swing the shinai particularly big, you've got kind of stiffness in your shoulders and your elbows, and how to get rid of that. Well, yeah. And if it's causing pain in your elbows, you're probably using your elbows too much when you swing the shinai, something like this. This is something that you see a lot, this kind of swing, where people will kind of swing the shinai and then kind of put their elbows out like this. And this is not the good way to swing the shinai. It doesn't want to be like this. It wants to be down like this, bam, like this. I've done a video about it, actually. If you search Suburi at home or something like that on the Kendo Show channel, you'll definitely see where I talk about that more. And that kind of leads on to my point, really. I think the best way you can fix it is by doing Suburi, but you can't just do 1,000 Suburi or 1,000,000 Suburi and you're going to get better. Kendo doesn't really work like that, where you just do loads of practice and you automatically get better. You do have to practice a lot, but you have to practice in the right way. So go and look at that video. I've got a couple of videos about Suburi, actually, and practice Suburi. But think about pushing with the left hand, keep your grip tight with your left, your bottom 3 fingers really, at the bottom of the shinai, and relax everything else, and then swinging the shinai this way. Yeah, nice, and just obviously focus on relaxing. Relaxing is the hardest thing for a lot of people in Kendo, and it is super hard, but it's just going to be about just keep swinging the shinai, and try not to put your elbows into it like this. just up and down with the shoulders and that little bit of the wrists at the end, I think you're going to benefit from. And if you just keep repeating that, and then obviously at the dojo, when you're doing your kirikaishi as well, kirikaishi is an absolutely brilliant exercise to reduce stiffness in your kendo if you do it properly. Yeah, but the problem is you have to concentrate on trying to relax, because your kirikaishi has to be correct, but it also has to be fluid. Yeah, it can't be stiff like this, because you're not going to get the benefit of the actual wrist movements, arm movements from practicing kirikaishi. So you've got to concentrate on trying to relax, but also still having tension in your fingers here, but relaxing your shoulders, relax your elbows, and swing, and again, swing. Okay, and again, like this. Yeah, not like this. Not this way, and not this way. Okay, you don't want to get too much pain in your back muscles from doing suburi. Okay, if I do loads and loads of suburi, then I tend to get aches in my shoulders and stuff, but not loads in my back, because I'm not putting loads of tension in here. Your mileage may vary, but that's my advice for that. Obviously, without seeing your actual kendo, there's not much else I can sort of say on that. So that's the end of the questions. Before I go, I do want to have a little bit of a rant, if I can call it a rant, really. I want to talk about New Year's resolutions, as today's probably going to be my last video, definitely, to be honest, before the new year. I know I said that yesterday, but I don't think I'll be recording over the weekend, and I certainly don't think I will be on Monday either. So as it is going to be the new year, obviously on, Tuesday? Is New Year's Day, is that right? If I've got it right? I haven't got a calendar in iShop. Anyway, it's almost New Year. And obviously it's customary in many cultures to have a New Year's resolution, or to make New Year's resolutions where you make a kind of commitment to yourself to do something, or improve something, or quit something, or do this sort of thing. And I think it's very important to also set those sort of goals for yourself in your kendo as well. So I myself am going to be working in 2019 towards making sure that I'm using my left foot properly, my left leg properly, and that I'm actually moving from my hips at all times. Always moving from my hips, and not moving from just my legs or just from my upper body. And that's a basic thing, but I think it's super, super important, and I think that's going to be my focus, at least for the next year. Obviously, I had a great year last year, 2018. I did manage to achieve some of the goals that I had. So make sure you do that for yourself as well. Think over what went well for you in 2018. What did you do well? What goals did you achieve? Because it's important when you reflect on your kendo that you don't only think about what you did wrong, but you have to think about what you did right as well, so that you can hopefully repeat those successes. So yeah, I had some success last year. Had some failures too. I had things that I'd like to have done better, so I'll definitely think on those. But like I say, my personal kind of effort for the year for 2019 is really going to be focusing on making sure I've got my lower body, kind of the basics of that, making sure that that's backing up my kendo, as it were. So I'm going to be focusing a lot on making sure I'm doing correct suriashi, making sure that I'm pushing off properly with good fumikiri when I go to do the stamp, to do fumikomi, and moving properly. And ways that I'm going to practice this, I'm going to make sure that I'm practicing by moving from my lower body and my hips when I do suriashi practice, but also when I do fumikomi practice, when I also do kirikaishi, or even when I do the basic reiho. I think that's a really important part that lots of people forget, is when you do rei. Yeah, we do rei, and then we take 3 steps in, okay? So we start rei like this, then we go to taito. I'm using my microphone as a sword. I go to taito like this, and then 3 steps forward, 1, 2, 3, draw the Shinai Sonkyo. But what lots of us do is those 3 steps forward, or those 5 steps back, we tend to just walk normally, 1, 2, 3, which is not what we need to do. We need to use, it's ayumi-ashi, but we still have to push from our hips. It's not just normal walking. Ayumi-ashi is different from just walking. So using our hips, using our knees properly, and using our calf muscles to move forward with those 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. Not 1, 2, 3. if that makes sense. Obviously, it's hard for me to show in this sort of environment, but I hope you get what I'm saying. So even in those parts, I'm going to be thinking about making sure I'm moving from my lower body. Kirikaishi, when I do kirikaishi, at my dojo, I often have our students do kirikaishi just with suriashi, no fumikomi, before, so no men, tai like this, but first suriashi, men, and then slow correct, men, for doing the sayu men, just with suriashi. And again, making sure that I'm pushing from my lower body. And then when we start to do the faster kirikaishi, lots of people tend to start, because it's fast and it's rhythmic, people start to go like this, and they're jumping up and down like this. Whereas I want to be focusing on making sure that I'm still moving from my hips, even if I'm moving quickly, that I'm still kind of not gliding, but I'm moving forward with good posture, good shisei. I'm moving properly with my lower body. So yeah, that's my goals for 2019. That's what I'll be working on. I hope I can look back at this video in a year's time and look back on it and think, yeah, that was the target I set myself, and that's what I worked on for the year. What about yourselves? Have you got a target or a New Year's resolution for your kendo for 2019? Let me know in the comments. That's what they're there for. You can leave me a comment there. Let me know what you're going to be working on next year, or what you're working on at the moment. And of course, let me know what you'd like me to address in future videos. So yeah, I don't think I'll be doing another video now, like I said, until the year's over. But once again, as I said yesterday, thank you so much for supporting me and the activities that I do through the Kendo Show, and obviously with Kendo Star, I'm going to talk about in a minute. But with Kendo Star, over 2018, we've grown so much in that year. It's been our best year ever. It's been absolutely unbelievable, actually. Even though it's been quite a tough year for me personally, obviously, as I've talked about before, with us moving our office over to the UK. Which was obviously in late 2017, but things like the visa stuff for my wife and stuff, so I separated from my wife from a bit whilst we got all that sorted. That's all sorted now, but Kendo Star just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and now we're at the biggest we've ever been, and it doesn't show any signs of slowing down, so thank you very much for supporting us, like I say, both in the Kendo Show and at Kendo Star. I do have a lot of things planned for next year for the Kendo Show, which I won't go into too many details about because they are very, very exciting, but they are kind of top secret right now. But we will be bringing you more instructional videos, as well as some new things that we've not done before on the channel. And yeah, finally, don't forget, obviously I talked about Kendo Star. Kendo Star is the, KendoStar.com is the website that I run that sells Kendo equipment. It's all brilliant equipment. It's all really, really good. It's particularly designed or selected for the international Kendo market, in that, you know, it's very protective, it's very comfortable, it's very durable. It's not the sort of stuff that kids in Japan are really, really into using, that's just lightweight, don't care about protection, and they can throw away after a couple of years. Our stuff is particularly designed for Kendoka around the world. So get to KendoStar.com to do your Kendo shopping. That's about it for today. It was I said it would be a mini rant, but it looks like I've already gone on for about 20 minutes. So thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think of the setup as well, and I'll see you all in the new year. Happy New Year.